point the Joint Operation and Management Committee. Sorry again, we're a little short again, but we can hold a meeting this month. I need a motion to approve the minutes from last month. We didn't have not much to approve because we didn't do anything, but that we were here. So somebody want to make a motion? Andrew? Oh, you weren't here either. Mr. Stroud wasn't here. So I'll make the motion.
Do I know who was here?
I know, that's it. None of them, except for these people can't. So we can't even get a motion on that, can we?
You can still make a motion.
All right, I made the motion to approve the minutes, but it can't be second.
Yes, it can.
Can it?
Yes, they were sent out.
They were sent out? Okay, so,
You don't have to be here to...
My uncle is?
I'll second that.
okay. They were sent out. You got the minutes, right?
I did.
Okay, then they were sent out. That's fine. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll start with Mr. Hedges.
Thanks, Gene. On page 2 of the agenda is a request to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the Village of Lake George. Details on this is we don't necessarily have an official intermunicipal agreement with Lake George. They do work on the facility, they have attendance for the facility, they buy toilet paper and supplies for the facility, and then we reimburse them, but there's no formal agreement in place. I would like to create actual formal agreement that we would renew every year with the village. And beyond this one, or the second invoice, or I'm sorry, the second agenda item on here is basically to pay them for work that they did in the month of April. But I'd like to leave it to the county attorney to a form approved by them for what the intermunicipal agreement will be, and we'll give them details of what it needs.
I think that's a fine recommendation.
We have, yeah.
You have to do it.
It's been a lot of years, and now it's getting bigger, and we really have to keep it under control a little bit more. So I have a motion to approve that. Okay, Ms. Hogan.
I'll
second
the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The second resolution is the payment up for them.
Yeah, the second resolution is to reimburse the village for work, attendance and supplies that they had done during the month of April this year. I have attached the 2 sheets beyond that for their attendance. They had for the month of May, but it's actually for the month of April, and the supplies that they had for that month. So the spreadsheets and the attachments are on the back to show what that was basically.
On the last page, yeah. And this they have been doing every month, for the last couple of years. We've been getting this every month. So, anybody have a motion? Question, Mr. Stroud?
Well, just a question. I can make the motion, and you can have further discussion if you want.
Right.
Sure, so I'll make the motion.
Make the motion, get a second. Hogan, okay, any questions?
And Kevin, you confirm that the village did this work? Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's that.
Kevin, do you know what our annual budget is for these reimbursements?
Typically, throughout the year, it's probably about anywhere from $12,000 to $13,000 a year. It varies a little bit because of what they pay the attendance. Each year, the salary or rate that they pay the attendance changes. I mean, it goes up every year, of course. So, but that's what I would suggest in the proposal, that they come back with what their fees are and what we would normally budget.
Have a little more budget certainty.
All right, I guess the mayor was supposed to do the rest of this. As far as I know, actually we had a nice conversation about this Christmas event going on December 7th and 8th at the park. I know the mayor's been working on these, getting these pond hockey tournaments going for January and February. So right now, I don't know how much he's done on it, but I'll let you know.
I can talk to a couple of them, Gene, I think. The first one is you said Christmas Adirondack. They are looking for a fee to be waived for their first year. And I'm just reading the festival comment schedule that they have. Per discussions with Mayor Blaze and pending O&M final approval, first year of fees of rental may be waived in exchange for possibly sponsorship, marketing sponsorship. They want to waive the fee. I think in the last meeting where we didn't take any action, I think there was some discussion of, as opposed to a $1,500 a day fee, that they would reduce it maybe to $500 or $1,000 a day.
I just got notice that the mayor's on his way. So I don't know how long it'll take him to get here, but, anybody have any questions? I think we talked about it last month. It was kinda iffy, should we do it or shouldn't we do it? Or should we just drop it $500 or 50%? No decision was made last month, so. Now, this is something, just so, a little bit, I'll give you, this is new.
Yeah, well, I'm familiar with it.
So-
Kristen Hannafin, and I meet with CBB, and I had her kind of highlight it yesterday. And, in Europe, these are very popular, and they have big drawings. And I think something like that could work here, because it's unique and it's different. And it's around that holiday festive time, and people are in the mood. And, this could turn out to be a much bigger event than what it may appear on paper. So, I think we ought to give them a break of some kind for the first year.
I feel that way too, but
Yeah.
it just depends on the rest of the committee, but we always have expenses. That's what the mayor tried to bring up last month. It's tough to start cutting ourselves short, but I feel, I think it was $1,500, right, is what we charge them?
It's $1,500 a day.
I don't think $500 would really kill us or put us in a bankruptcy if we knocked 500 off.
That was what we were discussing
We were discussing.
committee meeting was about the pond hockey.
Yeah, and
That-
the pond
that was
hockey, same
reduced
thing,
fee as
'cause
well.
once you do one,
I
you know,
think
that's what
a
happens.
slippery
That's what the end of the conversation was. Once you do one, then all of a sudden the next one wants to be, but I still believe personally, first time users of that, we should help them out, because that's what we're here for. That's what the bed tax is collected for, to get these people in, and I believe in that fully, so.
The only thing I was going to add, and I think you have anyways, is normally there's not events there in the winter. They had the snowcross there a couple years ago when the park wasn't developed, but now the snowcross has moved up to the fairgrounds. So this will be the space being used in the winter months when normally it's not.
Which is exactly what we want to do.
Yeah.
So if we want to encourage this kind of event, and the CBB, of course, is working very hard to try and make this happen.
I agree with that. How about,
I don't want to appear to not support this effort,
Mhm.
but I think it's a slippery slope, and I'll
Okay.
vote against it.
Chairman, you have a comment on it, maybe?
It's a tough one. Without criteria that we're going to apply going forward, my concern would be that other groups are going to step forward and say, well, we want to pay this much less. If we're going to say, have some criteria, first-time event, winter activity between the months of such and such and such and such, then at least you're describing why you're doing this, and you're giving it your
Well, why don't we can table it now, because this is only June. We got another 5 months before. I mean, they're moving on it already. It's not that they're waiting for us to reduce the price, not to do it or to do it. So I think we better, I agree with you on that. Let's get the mayor and his contingency. And he was supposed to bring it up in front of his board.
yes.
That was if I remember right, when we left here last month. So I haven't talked to him since, so why don't we just table these things here? Because we got time. Not that it's happening in 2 months from now or a month from now. Is that all right with everybody here? Okay, so we'll table all three of those. How about this British music? Do you know anything about it?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The last two on there, the British Music Invasion as well as the Charlie Daniels, and that was just an update to say that they are coming for this year.
Okay.
I don't think there's any fees waived or anything for those, just to tell you of the events that are coming for this year.
The Charlie Daniels Band's been already approved, so. Any questions from the floor? Anybody have any comments or
Yes,
questions?
that's this coming weekend. I'm sorry. Yeah, she asked about the wine festival, and that's at the Adirondack Wine Festival. Wine and Food Festival, I think, is this weekend.
We do have an issue with the Lake George Skate Park. The mayor has waived the deposit for the damage deposit. We've collected $250 for the event, which was what happened last year. And there was a resolution to accept it last year, but there was nothing in the resolution that indicated that it was going to
Renewed every year.
continue into the subsequent years. So the reason he's charging a reduced fee for the use is because the skate park is a very small portion of the total festival space. So I don't know if we want to address that before he gets here, or...
Well, I think we better, I don't think we should. Let him explain it to us. You know, he runs that park for the most part, and, you know, even, I don't like to overthink him. So we'll hold that off, too. Okay, nothing else? Yes.
Chairman, the last thing that's on here is under Roman numeral 5, it says discussion on annual reserve fund for the maintenance. I know that Jim Lieber here is from Soil and Water, and Randy Rath is here as well, and I from Lake George Associates. I'm sure they're waiting for the mayor as well, but I'm not sure if they can touch upon it and what's going on with that reserve fund. And no, Mike Swan's not here from the treasurer's office, so it's difficult to ask him where that may be. But I'm not sure, Jim, if you want to touch upon a little bit of this before the mayor gets here.
I guess I can just quickly go over what I know. And Randy's here from the Lake George Association, involved in land disturbance, things like that. It was the understanding of the original group that the concept would be funds that were generated from certain uses at the park. There's parking on the road, and I don't know if other events were to be basically put into an account for maintenance and continue, I don't know what the proper term is, but a rollover account for maintenance activities. That's why there was the original estimated budget included a contingency in that line item. I think at this point, speaking for, I guess, the group and that's the 3 E's and the county and the village, looking at it from a little bit of the outside, I think that there's a disconnect as far as whether that account exists, whether it was ever set up, whether there's any funds set aside for this, or it's a yearly allocation. So I go to the Westbrook Conservation meetings that are held, and that's discussed, and it was recommended to come to this committee and just try to start vetting out what, it doesn't matter kind of what was occurring back then, but what is now, and feeling it from that. So, you know, is there an account that was set up, was there an agreement account that had set up, again, for maintenance? And that maintenance might not seem like a lot, but it's going to be around $15,000 to $17,000. You know, you have mowing, you have garbage, you have dredging of the one pond, there's invasive species management. There's a lot of activities throughout the year that go on. I don't know if that's any additional information, but that's, it needs to be discussed at a forum such as this.
How much do you know about that?
Randy Rath with the LGA. Jim basically said that's exactly right, and it's actually outlined in the conservation easement, basically saying that it would create the account would then roll over and be used for maintenance and other purposes on the property. So kind of be good to know where that is.
And this, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, this is for the south parcel.
It is for, yes, I'm only speaking on behalf of the south parcel, because that's your stormwater system.
Now, I have the conservation easement with me, and basically what the conservation easement says, and I don't want to run through the whole thing, but it basically says that the county shall clean out, maintain, and repair stormwater management, treatment, and control facilities, including environmental facilities, stream ponds, wetlands, pipes, basins, on the protected property, which is the south parcel. It goes on to state that the town, which is no longer part of this conservation easement, and the village shall jointly maintain and repair all the other park facilities, grounds, and any structures on a protected property. It further states that all such work shall be performed consistently with the park management plan listed below and how it was supposed to be set up. And basically what that says is the management team shall prepare an annual budget for the maintenance repair, which Soil and Water has done that for us, for the protected property, and review and approval by the governing bodies of the grantor, except as expressly stated herein and in paragraph 8 below. All funds generated by the leasing or other use of protected property, including fees, rents, and parking revenues, shall be placed into a separate account to be kept under the control of the Warren County Treasurer. My last discussion with Mike Swan is there is no account set up for that.
When they say protected property, they're talking about the south parcel.
South parcel.
And what type of leasing, what type of income is being historically
I don't know
generated off of that?
What has been generated off that property. I don't know that it necessarily has been used for anything at this point.
And that's where the confusion reigns, and I think that some of it goes back to, whether it's correct or not, from the originators of the project, I believe that there was some understanding or discussion at the time that it wasn't a function of that stormwater wetland to maintain itself, it was the function of the entirety of the park, and have a portion of those funds that are generated from the park maintain that protected parcel. I have no paperwork on any of that. That's why, again, I think it's important to bring that up and get everybody on the same page, so that one, we can just be clear with everything and understand that if there is no fund and there's not going to be that type of fund, I just need to know that for budgeting purposes for the county. I believe that you had budgeted $17,400 for maintenance, and that was going to be as a yearly need based on the recommendation of the management plan. So I think it's an opportunity to start this discussion to try to clear up any misconceptions or anything that needs to be addressed.
I think you hit it right on the head, and I think we do have to have another meeting with that group, because what you read there was that the town of Lake is not involved anymore, so that was way back when we first started, when they were involved, before they pulled out. So I think we got to really sit down and relook at this contract and work with the attorneys, and let's see what we can come up. If there's no fund, if Mike says there's no fund been put aside, so nobody's been watching it, except for the fund that we keep for maintaining our part.
Well,
Go ahead, yes.
Kevin, doesn't that identify an income revenue source?
It does. Let me go further to state that plan reads, if parking meters are installed on Westbrook Road, again, Westbrook Road, the parking meters that were installed are the town's. So again, and the town's not part of this agreement anymore, so that I don't think pertains to this. But says that money shall be used, shall be placed in said account and be used for such purposes. It goes on to further state that all revenue generated by such existing or new buildings and the festival space may be applied to the maintenance, repair, and improvement of the buildings and festival space, and if not so applied, shall be used for the purposes set forth in sections 1, 2, and 3 of this, which is the sections that I read previously back here.
So those parking meters that are there now are put in by the town. They don't even, it's not even the counties.
Well, the word may is permissive, not mandatory. If it was mandatory, it would say shall. I think the thinking was that should the festival space generate income, that income should be used first and foremost for the maintenance of improvements on the south parcel, which makes all kinds of sense to me. But we do have, correct me, we do have a budgeted $17,000 for maintenance.
We do.
So we do have a maintenance line item. But it's not a reserve account. A reserve account is a dedicated account, which we would have to establish. And then funds that would go into a reserve account could only be used for the reservation purposes. So yeah, Mr. Chairman, you're right. This is going to take a little bit. It's good that the maintenance dollars are there, but I think that if there's a commitment that's been made so that the people that are responsible know they have a dedicated stream that to take care of the maintenance, I think that's really advisable.
I think it's time to sit down, because the one part with the meters, that belongs to the town of Lake George. They weren't there when this contract was made up, because they were just put in about 2 years ago. So, here comes the mayor now. Welcome, Mayor.
You can undo all the damage that it caused.
excuse me, we thought it was 10:30.
We'll see.
Good morning.
Apologize, Mr. Chairman.
It's all right.
It's at 10:30.
Yeah, that's what I was informed. It was 10:30 and they changed it, but...
I didn't know that either.
What we did so far, so that, I don't like to go over because I don't like when my meetings are held up. What we did so far is put on hold the Christmas event and the pond hockey tournaments, both of them, about the discussion of lowering their fee for the first year or not. And we put it on hold because I think I suggested that we can wait another month to discuss that, so we don't have to go into it again today. But I think what's important now is the discussion on the maintenance of the south part, because there's a couple of things in here in reading the contract that was done way back when we started all this, that the town of Lake George was involved in some of this until they pulled out. And also reading in this, the most important thing to me is if meters were installed on that Westbrook Road, it would help fund the maintenance of that south part. But those meters belong to the town of Lake George, not the county or yourself. So I think that's something we got to sit down, talk to Dennis, and work with these people here, and maybe come up with a modified contract. So starting next year, 2019, we'll be able to, because there's supposed to have been a reserve fund put in, but according to what we just told by the treasurer, it's never been done. So I think that's an issue that we're going to have to tackle in the next couple of months. If that's all right with you, Mr. Mayor, we do that so that we don't prolong. I'm sorry you rode all the way down here. I think I saw a hand up in the corner. Yes, Kevin. I'm sorry?
County does.
Well, they got meters on our road, I don't know.
What you're saying is that the funds that are being collected from the county parking lot side is not being put aside into a maintenance, or the funds that are collected from the festivals are not being put aside into a maintenance account, which was the original intent.
There's no maintenance account set up, from what I just understood, but there is an account that we keep all the money that we pay out, like we approved your bills, and we're going to get into a new contract with the village about taking care of it, so we're going to do that next month. There is an account for that, that's where the money's going, but there's no account that says maintenance funds only. So we're going to have to make a couple of changes. Go ahead, Kevin.
That is a deferred revenue account. It's called Gaslight Village parking fees, and the money that comes into that account is what pays for you guys for the attendance or maintenance on that festival space.
Right. But the south parcel doesn't have any kind of a capital.
No.
I think that was the original intent, but it just never...
Well, it did say in there that any fees that south side brought in was to go through maintenance, but I don't...
Nothing was ever set up.
I don't understand about the
We wrote
maintenance part.
resolution.
I mean, about the fees. What would we charge fees for that south side?
I think it goes back to the parking revenue originally. Way back when it was started, they thought if they did parking meters, that would be the money they were...
Got a hand up, Pat?
Yeah, I think someone needs to look at it, because that doesn't make any sense if they would have tied the maintenance revenue to something that nobody ever anticipated, putting events on the south side. South Park, I mean, that's not a revenue-generating venture. That's not what that whole thing is about.
Well, that's what we're seeing now, and a lot of it's different because even the town of Lake George is not involved in this. They pulled out of it way back when.
Is that not an up-to-date easement?
The conservation easement was done, Dave, you can correct me if I'm wrong, 2005, 6?
Yes, 12 years.
Yeah,
12 years ago, so there's...
Yeah.
When the town was still involved with it.
Yeah.
Well, originally, the funds that were going to be collected from the festivals, the use of the festival space, the county parking lot wasn't even in anyone's mind then. Those were the funds that were supposed to go into the maintenance account, dedicated to the maintenance of the park. There was never any discussion that I recall about your parking lot. That was yours. The county.
Not mine, yes.
No, yeah, that was the county's parking lot.
I wish it was.
Wanted to make it a parking lot. They asked us to estimate what we thought, and we were pretty much close. There was never any discussions that any of those funds that I can remember would go directly to the maintenance of the park. That was a separate county issue entirely, but certainly the money from the festivals that we collected each year were to go to a dedicated account to maintain the park. And we were agreeable with that. And the town was at the time, but right now they're not.
So I think, I mean, we could sit here and talk about it. I think we just got to get one or two more meetings together. We got to sit with our attorney, we got to sit with the fund from Lake George, and let's get back to making a new agreement. We can't change it too much, but, you know, because a lot of things have changed over the years, like Lake George, they're not involved at all, so that's going to be a stumper right there. So,
Mr. Chairman, would you want to do a workshop?
yes, well, that's what I think we got to do. We got to sit down in the next, you know, at least next month,
Yeah.
within the next month, to
Maybe
get this together so that we
all
have it
room
ready.
to workshop it out.
Is that all right with you, Mayor?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, the fees for the Chris Kingle Market, the committee was to see me a couple times since our last meeting, which we were supposed to discuss it at our last meeting, but we didn't have a quorum.
Right.
And they say it's critical to them to know what their fees are going to be. You know, they're asking for a discount because of the time of the year that they're holding the event. And they just came to me again Friday and wanted to make certain that we would give them some kind of an answer as to what their fees were going to be after this meeting today. I don't mean to prolong it, but it's been 3 months.
Some of the comments that came up was, you know, like, I'm in favor of giving them a little discount, but then again, if we think about it, it just starts a precedent. Every time somebody new comes in, they're going to ask for the discount. We don't have that under our regulations, so it's just something I think we really, I think we got to have a workshop included in this with that too, to discuss, unless you, what do you feel? I respect you.
Well, in talking with Dave, we feel that the maintenance required, the assistance for an event in the winter is going to be more than it is in the summer. Plus the fact that we have to heat the restrooms, which is, you know, no big deal, but we do have to heat them. And
Turn the heat on.
it's a considerable more expense than it is in the summer. Plus plowing the sidewalks, and if it happens to snow a day or two ahead, it's going to require a lot more maintenance. And we didn't really know, okay, if you do give a discount, what would be your starting date and what would be your ending date? That's just a crapshoot. So we understand, you know, how great it is to be able to have an event here in the winter, and we all thought that maybe but now we've got 4 coming up.
That's what it is.
So that's great. That's what the festival space was meant for. And to be honest with you, if you compare our fees with others, Manchester, Vermont, down at Darien, Connecticut, our fees for our space is lower than at much of our competition. So we wouldn't necessarily be in favor of, we'd say keep it what it is and not get into, you know, any kind of a precedent setting.
I think that's what we were looking for, so, I mean, I don't know if
That's just our...
anybody have any comments, Charles?
Well, you know, we're talking first year, and we're talking untried events. So if we want somebody to take a risk to try an event, and with the idea that it's going to be successful and it's going to grow every year, but that first year sometimes coming up with the money, it's iffy, the risk taking. My idea is, you know, and Ron had the thing, if you have a certain criteria list, maybe we could give these people, if it appears that this is going to be big, and you know, these Christmas events like this one in Europe and elsewhere, they're big.
Yeah.
And this could be it could be an annual thing, it could be something that grows every year. For the first year, they're asking for a break because, you know, there is a certain risk to trying this out. So I thought, giving them a break would be appropriate, but as Ron pointed out, certain criteria. So that not just everybody, I mean, if somebody's coming in a one-time event, and it doesn't look like it's gonna be something that's gonna return, and it's not gonna grow, then I don't see giving them a break necessarily, but I want to encourage the kind of things that are gonna keep us going year after year after year with these big events. Americade, for example, but have things on the shoulder seasons. So that was my thinking.
Yeah, we don't disagree with that. What we did was, we gave them a little more occupancy tax than with our joint committee, joint town village, we took that into consideration. So we gave them, you wouldn't know that, but our committee gave them a little bit more occupancy tax. And that's our theory in the village, is that we give a new event more the first year than they're ever going to get again, because it is a risk, just like you say. And if they're using the festival space, we end up usually giving them the amount that it's going to cost them to rent. Now, this year, the town of Lake George has already done that to this particular event. Now, I don't know about the others. So we take that occupancy tax and kind of do what your theory is, which, of course, then we're going to turn around and get the money right back. So it makes it kind of an easy decision.
Well, I can see if that's the process.
Yeah.
But it also reminds me that as we're expanding and going into the shoulder season and the weather is not predictable, that tinsel building would be nice to have something there to assure the event isn't soured by some weather event.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think that's a great idea, what you just said. And I would say, tell these people to go see surrounding towns who could benefit from this. I know I can't speak for my board, but I can speak for myself, that if they came to me and said, look, we need $200 extra OCTAX money to help pay the fee, I could come up with it. But I'm not speaking my board would agree with it, but I'm pretty sure they will. So I think that something like that, what you did, is probably the better way than dropping the price. That's only my opinion. So maybe we can inform all these little groups that, they can pick up a couple of $100 in a couple of the surrounding towns of an event. It's not a lot of money, and it would help everybody, and then we'll keep our price the way it's got to stay a even flow. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Well, you've got two other pond ice hockey tournaments that are coming in January and February, which are going to be considerable more maintenance for our DPW. Set up an ice rink is with the folks that are going to do it, of course, but we also gave them some occupancy tax as well.
So then, I don't know, everybody feel comfortable leaving like it is? Mr. Stroud?
It's fine if the mayor is gonna,
Well, we can send them to Queensbury, maybe it can help them a little too.
well, Queensbury is, doing its share to encourage these kind of things in the same manner that the village is.
Yeah, because it will start up, I was happy with giving them a discount, but, when you really get into thinking of it, everybody will ask for one the first time out. And if we had already in our bylaws saying if you did it in December, January, and February, we'd give you a little discount because we want the winter business, it probably would have been easier then, but not now.
We usually always try to cover the cost of with our occupancy tax funds, we usually always try to cover the cost of the event space the first year, at least that and more. And the next year, we usually reduce it down, but it's always more than what the cost is to rent the space. Usually with all these groups that we have.
So what's the opinion? We leave it like it is and hope, see if we can push them out to a little further towns out that might pick up a few,
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
all right. Mayor, you're happy with that too? Ms. Hogan, you're all right with that, right?
I am.
Okay, so I need a motion to move ahead with it. Somebody want to make a motion? Mayor, get a second?
Move ahead with,
Not giving them a discount, leaving the price the way it is and... Huh?
Or we just
just not
You don't have to, okay, then we don't have
Yeah,
to, all right,
we
that's
should.
good, all right.
No, you don't have to see it.
Yeah, there was one more thing, the skate park issue, I hate to prolong.
DPW questions the $250 for the skate park and the waiving of the damage deposit. So last year, we did collect two separate checks for $250,
Okay.
and they did refund the damage deposit.
Okay, so we need a $250 deposit.
Or,
Last year, we did it in a resolution, so that it was $500 for them to come, $250 for deposit, $250 for them to use the skate park. Do you want to continue, because it wasn't renewable this year,
Oh, okay.
so do we want to do the same thing, another $250 for deposit, $250 for the event?
That's fine. I'm sure that, they won't have
do
any
you
problem.
want to have a resolution that that's the way it'll be handled going forward?
Yeah, that would be good, so we
Instead of
wouldn't have...
redoing it every year.
But again, next year?
Yeah, it's only the skate park use.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so it's for the skate park use, to leave it like it is, $250, and what was the other two prices?
$250 for the deposit,
Right.
for the damage deposit, and then $250 for their use of the
Use.
facility.
And that'll be, set, it won't have to be renewed
Yeah.
every year unless it
That's
goes down the
fine.
road we
Yeah,
want to
it's the
change.
same group using it this year that
All
uses it.
right.
The only issue is that on the application it's waived.
Right, I'll get a hold of Patricia.
Okay.
No
You
problem.
want to make that motion, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
All right, do I get a second? Mr. Stroud? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's passed. Thank you. All right, now we'll open to the public. Any questions? Motion adjourned. Hogan, Stroud, thank you.
When did they change the time?
I don't know.
We didn't get it, we didn't get
We
a
were sitting at the
notice.
village hall